What's up, guys? In this video, you will learn how to access the Spotify API using Python and automate the process of creating playlists. We will also use ChatGPT to get the best songs from a specified year and also the respective name of the artist or artists. So the first thing you need to do is to search on Google Spotify for developers and then open this page here. Here the link is developers.spotify.com and you need to create an account on Spotify if you don't have an account, or if you have an account, you just log into your account. I will log into my account. You can use Google or other sites here. After logging into your account, you click here on the top right of the web page and go to dashboard. And here in dashboard, you click to create app. You can give the app name Automating Playlists. In the description, I will write, in this project, we will create playlists automatically. Then after that, it's not necessary to put a website here. And here you must write a redirect URI. You can use this URI here, http://example.com. So you can use this one, and as you can read here, it will, after the authentication process, it will redirect you to this URI. You can just use this one here and click add. Here below, we will select web API, okay? And click I understand and agree with the terms of service here. This is it for now. Click on save here. Alright, we created our application. Now we go here in settings and you will have your client ID and your client's secret. You can click here to see your client's secret. This data is important to use Python to connect with the Spotify API, okay? Now let's write the code that will enable us to communicate with Spotify API. The first thing that I will do here in VS Code is to create a new environment. I will click here below and select an interpreter and then create virtual environment, Venv, and then I will use this interpreter path here. Wait until the virtual environment is created. Let's write some code while it's creating the virtual environment. The first thing we will do is to import Spotipy, which is a library to work with the Spotify API, and we will also import this Spotify OAuth here. From Spotify.oauth2 import Spotify OAuth. The virtual environment was installed successfully. Here we have the folder containing it. And talking about this Spotify OAuth here, this basically is necessary to authenticate with the Spotify API. Now let's select an interpreter here, which we created, this .venv. And let me see if I don't know if it worked. Let's try to install the Spotipy library. Let me first write people list here to see if I'm really in the right. No, I'm not in the right virtual environment. I will have to close the terminal here. Let's open another terminal here, running the code. Yeah, now I believe we are in the right virtual environment, but let me check. Let me try to select don't know why it's not working. I selected my main virtual environment. I selected my main virtual environment here, but now I will try to change to the new one that I created. I think now it will work. Let me close the terminal and open a new terminal here, pressing Ctrl plus J. Write people list. Okay, here we have here we are in the new virtual environment. Now I'm gonna install Spotipy, which is necessary. Using pip install Spotipy, now it's installing. Okay, it finished. We can test it by running the code here, importing the library and running the code. Yeah, it worked. Now let's write this code here in which we are basically creating a Spotify API client. This is necessary to authenticate with Spotify. So here we will have to put our client ID, our client secret, the redirect URI, and the scope. I will create a new file here which will be called credentials.txt. And here I will basically put in the first line my client ID. For example, I'll just write some random stuff here. And in the second line, I will write my client secret, Then I will save the file. I will just show this as an example. I will not show my client secret. And then I will read my client ID and secret from this file here, credentials.txt, and put in variables, and I will pass these variables as arguments here. Okay, so I will comment this for now, and then I will open the file, which is credentials.txt in read mode, which is the default as file. I will create a variable client ID, which will be equal to file.readline. And then I will create a variable client secret, which will also be equal to file.readline. Basically, it reads the first line here, and then it goes to read the second line. Let me print these variables to show you that it's working properly. You can see here that my first line are letters and my second line are numbers. Okay, so I'm printing my first line here and then my second line. Now let's run the code. Okay, you can see here that it worked, but it's also getting the new line character. For this reason, it has additional new lines here. So what I'm going to do is to use the strip method here to just get the keys without the new line character, and I will run again the code. And now you can see that it does not have the new line character here. It has a new line because I printed a new line here. Now let's create our redirect URI variable, which is going to be equal the link we defined before, example.com. Now we can uncomment this snippet here and replace the strings with the right variables. So client ID is going to be client ID, client secret here, the redirect URI, and the scope, let's just leave it user library read now, but we will have to modify it later. Okay, now I already put the right credentials in this file, the client ID and client secret. Now I will call this function here sp dot current user. With it, we can get information about the current user. It will give us information in a JSON format. I will just put it into a variable here, and I will print this variable here below, okay? And let's run the code for the first time doing the authentication. You will be redirected to this page here, and you must allow Spotify to connect with your project. This is the name of the project. I created another Spotify account and I created this project here because I don't want to show my data, you know. So I created another one. This is not the same project that I showed in the beginning of the video, but I did exactly the same things. So I will just click agree here, and then it redirected me to this page here. And if you go on VS Code, you can see enter the URL you were redirected to. And what you have to do is to copy this entire URL here and paste in Visual Studio Code and click enter. And the authentication is complete. Now you can see the data in a JSON format. So we have a dictionary here, and we have different keys. We have the display name. This is the name of the new account that I created. And we have a lot of data here. Followers, I have no follower because I created this account now. The link of my user and also my user ID. To understand better the JSON data, we can debug this file in Visual Studio Code. I will add a breakpoint here, and then I will select the option Python debugger to debug this file. And you can see that the code is stopped here, and we can get the value of this variable. If we look here in variables, we will find the current user variable. We have this current user variable, and we can click to expand it, and you can see that inside it there are special variable and function variables, but this doesn't matter now. What we are really interested in are the objects below the function variables here, starting from the display name. It's a dictionary, so we have some keys here. You can see the length of this dictionary. The length is H. So we have H different keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and H. And if, for example, you want to get the user ID, you can just access this current user and use the key ID. I can go here below in additional views and click in debug console, and we can, for example, we can get the value of the user ID by writing current user and then open brackets here and insert the key ID here. Then we will get my user ID, and we can get other information also. We can go inside this dictionary here. This is another dictionary, external URLs, and we have just a single key inside it. We can see the length of this dictionary, which is 1. We can get the value of this Spotify key, or we can go inside the dictionary followers, and the length here is 2, so we can get the value of the href key or the total key. So this is how we can work with JSON data and have a better understanding. Later in this video, you will see how useful using this debugger is, because this JSON structure here is very simple. So it's not necessary to use the VS Code debugger. But when we have complex structures, JSON data with a lot of layers, it's very useful to use it, okay? So I will stop debugging and I will remove the breakpoint here. Now let's go to ChatGPT to get the name of the musics and the artists of each music. Well, in reality, the video has already almost 16 minutes, as I'm seeing here in CapCut. So I will record a second part of this video doing the next steps, which are basically we will ask ChatGPT for a CSV file containing the music names and the respective artists of each music, and then we will parse this file and get the music and the artists, and use this information to search using a function that Spotipy has to search for each track on the Spotify library. And we will get each track URI, which is basically a unique code to identify each track. And with each URI, we will create a playlist and add all the tracks. So I will put in the description of this video the link to the second part, okay? Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Please give a like to this video, and I see you in the second part.